Let's clean that. It's like my signature sign on my little end. Right. What's up, YouTube? What's up, TikTok? This kind of feels like a special broadcast. I don't know. Feels like a special broadcast. Riley, hello. Grand rising, everybody. One thing I want to ask for anyone that's in the chat right now, can you hear the subtle frequencies that I'm playing? They're like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." Okay, cool. I'm exploring some new technology that I've known about binaural beats for a long time. I've known about the power of sound frequencies, and I just discovered what I think might be the next leap in that field, um, which I'm excited to share about you if my investigations go well. With me, and I could make this more clear about how I do things, but as a reflector, part of my strategy in human design is to wait 28 days, or to like experiment with something for 28 days. Give myself 28 days to like really feel something through. And I've been doing that for 10 years. One of the things that I can recognize is when I find something that I'm like, oh, the 28 days is just to build my conviction around it. And before I share it with people. And this is one of those things that I'm like, in the sense I'm third one. I'm just talking about 28 days. I found this before I share it with you guys, like the actual, I'm going to test it for you guys. So anyway, the lunar cycle thing is really a cool process, and it's really funny because I find this a lot with like manifesting women, projector men, and especially reflector men, because the reflector strategy is very much so like a woman's strategy of being on their actual menstrual cycle. And I've actually learned a lot of things about my own lunar cycle from learning about. I'm gatekeeping it. Yeah, I'm gatekeeping it because there's some things that are like totally yes, straight up. But I'm also talking about it kind of because I'm I already feel it. And that's the thing about like frequencies. When you're working with frequencies, you're not working with how you say altering physical matter so much as the coherence of your electromagnetic. So it's you're operating in much more like a liquid state. And it's the same with Reiki, right? I'm not going in and massaging muscles. I'm connecting the muscles that are out of sync to muscles that are in sync. And it's kind of like in pod racing in Star Wars. You ever see Star Wars, that first one when they do the pod racing, have those two engines. There was a video game a long time ago where if you would like smash one into the wall and this thing was broken, you can use the power of the one that was fine to kill this other one. And anyway, I'm going to be gatekeeping it for a little bit, but I am going to be kind of like showing people on the live, so if you notice the quality of the lives going up. Um, so okay, do I have phases to my cycles? They're not as regular as I've noticed, like with a partner kind of going through like her luteal phase, for instance, and like all the hormones and everything. For me, it's less about the phases and more about tuning into what's going on. 'Cause at any given cycle, even though the cycles are the same, the people around me are sometimes different. Circumstances around me are kind of different. Buckethead, I totally get the bus. This is my bus. I do have a little cottage as well that me and my partner have been renting, and her and the baby stay over there. I stay over here. I sleep in huge on sleeping in your own bed. Do it. Bucket headlands. Do it. You know what I mean. It's like I live on Maui, and my bus is like 6,000 bucks, and I feel like buses, other places are a lot. And Georgiana wants to know what exactly the lunar cycle has to affect manifesting. So everyone has a lunar cycle, but reflectors are the most impacted by the lunar cycle because they have no inherent definition. But you have a lunar cycle, anyone can track their lunar cycle. Again, it's the same as the solar cycle. Your birthday is your solar cycle. Your lunar cycle, you can look at the personality of the moon, right? And if you use an app like Neutrino Design, you can actually look up what is the next lunar cycle. For me, it's the 21st when the moon goes into my design moon, when the transit goes to my design moon, and the 26th personality moon. And so there's opportunities for me being able to audit myself both physically, right? By audit, I mean like reflect on my heads up, your audio seems to be hard to make it. Um, my YouTube is playing around with maybe me playing. You know, it's this uh, like, just shining around. Did that help? Wow, it feels so empty in here without those frequencies. I'm sure that probably helped. But anyway, thanks for letting me know. Because I am actually building up a recording of these YouTubes, of these lives, and eventually, if anyone wants to like help me and maybe cut them up, there could be something in that for someone if someone wanted to do that. But anyway, I want the audio quality to be good, and also this frequency stuff I'm working with. It's like it's got me lit in a totally different way. But anyway, I'm gonna get some tea so I can get more lit. Hopefully, you guys are okay with that. Let's have some tea. Boom. All right. So what's up, guys? I feel like that was like a whole like trippy little intro for myself. Um, Neutrino Design, yes, is an app. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, let's get freaking lit, guys. So I'm gonna be drinking some black tea today, which is my go-to tea. Comes straight from China. Say it's tough being a manifester when I don't like telling people my business. Well, I totally hear that. And one thing that I would say is like, um, it doesn't mean you can't be a private person, right? Like with manifestors, for instance, one of the things about manifestors that a lot of people don't really consider is that manifestors are non-sacral beings. So they're atypical type people in the sense that they are going to have like much more erratic and longer cycles of rest and creativity. Like generally speaking, generators and manifesting generators will have like every day they'll wake up with like a refueled sacral, whereas manifestors, all the other non-sacral types, projectors and reflectors, they are not that way. Sometimes they have multiple days where they wake up with like no energy or no motivation for the regular things in their life. Those are rest days. And as a manifester, you might think like, well, if I'm supposed to be manifesting all the time and initiating and informing people, I don't want to be doing that when I'm resting. But recognize like you can inform people and initiate your own rest time. Hey guys, just want to let you know I'm not going to be reaching out. I don't really want to talk to anyone. I'm taking a rest. I'm taking a rest week, etc. And so it's really important to recognize that, even for little things like that, like I don't want people knowing my business. Number one, you can look at your constitutions regarding privacy, like Gate 33 and Gate 13 might be how you say interesting for you to see what activity you have going on there. But quite literally, again, if you don't want people knowing your business, just tell them that, hey, I've got stuff going on, but I don't want everyone knowing my business. Maybe I'm still moving through an emotional wave on it or something like that. And that is, at least in my book, satisfying the conditions of an experiment as a manifester, right? I'm a manifesting generator with emotional authority and strategy to respond. Yes. Brittany Suarez just made a post about this. I want to hear about the splenic authority. This is exactly what I was going to ask you today. I've been getting a lot of I would say manifester or interest in manifester stuff, which is awesome because my daughter's a manifester. Deanna, I just ghost and isolate. See, there's your problem, sis. And lovingly calling you out, just don't ghost. You can isolate, but don't ghost. Let people know, hey, I'm moving through some stuff. You can send some good vibes or some prayers up for me. But just like don't try and come find me. You know what I mean? Like don't that's informing, that's initiating spaciousness, right? And that's part of the manifestor role. And once you learn that that's your way of being, you're gonna love it, right? You're gonna love it. So experiment with this, Deanna, and give that a shot, and let me know how it goes. Because again, this is not like, oh, human design knows everything. This is like, hey, let's establish some experiences for ourselves and see for ourselves. So anyway, thank you for that question. It's a solid question. And again, there's a lot of how you say, not necessarily misinformation, but just misinterpretations of the strategies in particular, which is something that, it's human design is a very simple system to follow. Follow your strategy and authority. But when it comes to interpreting the strategies and authorities, a lot of people will have, how you say, half-baked interpretations. Right. So anyway, Marco, you guys are a family of non-sacral beings. Sounds peaceful. It's actually genuinely a very peaceful family. Like me and my partner, we don't fight. We never yell at each other. When we get pissed off at each other, we do get angry with each other. But when we get like, I'm half baked right now. when we do get upset with each other, we just leave each other alone for a little bit, and then we come back together and we work on things. But anyway, they're not amazing on their own. You add a yummier, creamy. Wait, what? What are we talking about? Oh, if my sacral is defined, what does that mean? So defined sacral is like when it comes to the generating of life force, specifically sexual creative energy. This is the energy that wants to build. This is the energy it wants to make babies. It wants to engage in projects. It wants to be spent, right? This is the energy that wants to be spent on something that's satisfying and worthwhile to you. When you have a defined sacral, it means that it means that your sacral response, like your initial ooh or ooh, that is going to be the clearest message that you're going to get, provided that you're not in some like really heavy emotional wave. If you have a defined sacral, you want to like rely on your defined sacral, or build a reliance or a relationship with your defined sacral, because it will just guide you and let you know, hey, we're generating energy for this and we're not generating energy for that. Alex, what do you think happened after we talked? Wait, what? Say more. That's so cryptic. Let's see. After we were talking about coffee and tea and a brand called Mudwater. Sorry, Marco. Oh, got you. I was like, what are we talking about here? What do I think happens after we die? Ooh, so what I think happens after we die, and actually great thing to talk about, because human design always talks about living, but they never talk about dying. And dying is, in human design, is there's like a very specific way to die. And what I mean is, and this actually, before I ever started studying human design, got it, Alex. I was like, wait, did we talk? So when it comes to death, and then, like I was saying, this checks out with what I was studying about death before human design. This all checks out. But human design says that in order to die properly, one, after they die, has to be left on the ground face up, basically for 3 days. It's called traditionally a bardo. The Pope gets it. All the like princes of Egypt and stuff like that, their whole process of dying involved this, like leaving the body to essentially allow the personality or your mind or your soul, whatever you want to call it, to reassimilate fully to the source. Like it's a lot of information to transfer, is my understanding. So you got to like let the body sit face up. It's not dangerous. And there's actually a conspiracy, and you wouldn't call it a conspiracy. It's just like very auspicious history around the funeral like system and industry that we have today. essentially, in a nutshell, there were a lot of people dying, and people who were offering, especially in the military, people that were offering burial rights found an opportunity to just like monopolize it and convince people that, oh, you need to bury your people right away, and you need to do it in a casket because the bodies are dangerous. And now everyone just thinks that dead bodies are dangerous, but like the minute you die, you're not sneezing, you're not getting liquids everywhere. Like unless someone comes and rubs their face in you, like you're not able to really spread infectious diseases anymore, at least for the most part. But the idea is that when you die, if you don't give yourself those 3 days, or the people living don't give you 3 days of uninterrupted face up time, your soul will basically get trapped in between here and there. And this is something that, when it comes to ghosts or entities, angels, human design says that all of that is just the rogue kind of like personalities that never fully reassimilated back to source. And so it's very interesting. And again, this is something that I believed a long time before human design. Yeah, no, thank you. Don't want to get stuck in limbo, but limbo exists, heaven exists, and hell also exists, which to me is just like you're like continuously stuck in limbo. Reincarnation, this fits well into the reincarnation story, as if like if you get trapped here on earth, then you just like reincarnate, or attempted reincarnation is a possible thing. But the one thing that like really like was congruent was I was studying subtle bodies before human design, and one of the things that I was kind of like studying for my teacher, they taught me about, there's a physical body and then there's an etheric body, which is the heat and the like, right, the temperature, the actual energy coming off your body. Then there's the auric body, which is the electromagnetic field of emotions and mind. Then there's the soul, which the soul is like the capstone, but it's also the ego. The ego is just an immature version of the soul. And so what happens when you die is your physical body and your electric body and your energy etheric body stay here on earth, and they reassimilate to the earth. Your aura and your soul return to the sun, return to source, or in human design's case, you reassimilate with your Godhead personality crystal. And this is the idea of human design, is like, yeah, some people might object to this. You're right, Riley. What would be a good space to leave the body? What if animals eat the body / your family? I don't know if your family's going to eat the body, but that would be really strange. Totally kidding. There were, and this is my, and if you guys, by the way, if you guys want to get on my level, and you're like, I'm already learning human design as fast as I can, but if you want to get on my level, there is a book that's on my Amazon shop, or my Amazon storefront account, called Atlantean Secrets. Okay, it's called Atlantean Secrets. It's about Atlantis, and they talk about the temples there. And this was written by a guy who created a school for meditation and studying subtle bodies, my teacher, Samuel Sagan. And he wrote this story about Atlantis. It reads like a history book, but there are places like you could imagine, like imagine if there was, instead of the graveyard where you buried people, there was the cremation grounds where there would be people receiving protection and prayers and hymns for the 3 days that their bardo is going on. And then once that process is complete, there was a way of integrating those bodies back into the earth. So yes, Spiritual Simone, check out that book. You will fall in love with it. Yes, and yeah, one day my book will be in my links. But this book right here, Atlantean Secrets, it is one of the best books. If you like Paulo Coelho, if you guys like The Alchemist, this is like The Alchemist mixed with Harry Potter, mixed with Lord of the Rings. It's like my favorite book. It's a lot, and it's like, again, Samuel Sagan wrote this as a way of sharing his explorations, because what he did was he was in like the University of France, like studying meditation and subtle bodies. So he was in a Western academic institution and received a I think it was a doctorate or a PhD in subtle bodies and meditations from the University of France. And anyway, yeah, all his books they're in a list on my Amazon shop account. So if you guys go into the links in my bio, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see like the Amazon store, and yeah, the books are in there, as well as a list of books for if you want to learn human design. There's Definitive Book of Human Design, Science of Differentiation, that red one I always hold up. And then there's also the Gene Keys, which is really helpful. So I'm gonna get it when the live is. So Sadie, you're gonna love this book, and anyone that like reads this book, you will see what I'm doing in a whole new light. If you read this book, you will understand why I think the way I think, because this book is one of the huge reasons why I think that way. Now I'm thinking about open head and ajna and asking questions that have nothing to do with me. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I have undefined head and ajna. Riley, if you have open head and ajna, that's like even more sensitive. But when you have undefined head and ajna, the head is what to think. The ajna is how to think about it. And so when it comes to what to think and how to think about it, again, the idea is that you're going to be able to think about whatever you want, and you're going to be able to think about it however you want. Like, you don't need a specific way of doing it for you to get it or for you to be certain about something. And that is a beautiful thing, right? Until it's not, until you realize, like, oh man, I'm inspired by things that are not relevant to me. I'm thinking about things in ways that are not actually taking advantage of my circuitry or my body, my physical vessel, my form. It's not taking advantage of my form. And so it's not a bad thing. But it's like, for instance, if you have a fruit tree that you never pick the fruit and eat the fruit or even give the fruit away, like, what happens to the fruit? It rots. The fruit rots. Okay. And so any of the energy that you're not using, and this is relevant for generators especially, if you don't use that sacral energy, it rots, right? It keeps you up at night. It frustrates you because it's like, oh, I have all this energy for something, but I don't know what to apply it to. That would be the atypical like generator with undefined head and ajna. It's like not knowing what to apply their sacral energy to. It's because they're trying to figure out what to apply their energy to rather than looking at what their energy is already applied to. Hopefully some people had some light bulbs there. Crystals, do you feel like crystals have a consciousness, or what do you feel on crystals? Yeah, I love crystals. I can show you some of mine. This is one of my buttes that's been with me for a really long time. So an interesting thing about crystals, and I make a lot of like triggering things about crystals because a lot of people will just like buy crystals but not actually work with them. And if you don't work with the crystals, like you just have them sitting around, they can't really do much. If you don't know much about the crystals, they can't really do much. But it's like a friend. If you have a friend that's a millionaire but you never ask them questions about how to become a millionaire, or if you have a friend that's in a happy relationship but you never ask them, hey, what do you see about my relationship? How could I be happier? You know what I mean? And it's not to say that, like, again, something externally is going to be able to tell you how to be better than something inside you, but it's worth getting those reflections. And when it comes with crystals, you have to work with them, right? And you have to bathe them, you have to cleanse them, not because it's like, oh, they're going to be corrupted otherwise, but because they're like living frequencies, right? But the thing about them is that they're not changing frequencies all that much. Whereas a human being can go from a state of joy and bliss to a state of shame, significantly lowering their frequency. The crystal is always going to maintain the frequency. What you have to understand about crystals is that the more you open yourself up to them and connect to them, the more of the magic you're going to be able to access. And I could get a lot more out of this little crystal than an entire bust-sized piece of clear quartz would give to somebody that doesn't know how to operate them. It's the same thing as being in a car. Like, if you don't know how to drive a car, you're not going anywhere. You might be able to turn it on and figure out eventually, but it's like it's much easier if you have some kind of method of connecting with your crystals. And one of the things in terms of connection, playing with it is a form of connection, right? Like, you think about kids, they're like airplanes. Woo! When's the last time you took one of your clear quartz around and pretended that you were in a spaceship and you were like, and now I'm going into the depths of my emotions, and now I'm gonna go into my teapot because I don't want to see anybody. Well, you know what I mean? So playing, it's not like it has to be like super serious, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can be playful with it and get a logic. Best source for crystals. I know mining process affects the quality in our planet. I get a lot of my crystals, and I actually have not bought crystals for a long time because I'm really happy with all the things that I have. When I see crystals in crystal shops, I'm usually not excited about them. But one of the best places, best sources for crystals is to go to actual gem shows, because gem shows is where you have the miners connecting with the retailers. So yes, I'm on a bus. I should have a sign up there that says yes, I'm on a bus. It's pretty rad. But anyway, yeah, go find some gem shows. That's the best advice I can give you. I don't have like an online crystal dealer. I actually do. I haven't connected with him in a while. He took a step back because of this. He was like, man, I really want to keep sharing these crystals, but these other people are selling cheaper crystals, and the mining is not good. And like what you're talking about, like the intention is not there, and the people that I buy from are more expensive, so I have to charge more and blah blah. He was going through this whole thing about it, but it's a good the stars are aligning so insanely just this past month, um that I'm definitely going to reach out to him and see, because I'd love to be able to connect you guys and be like, hey, this is the storefront that I use to get crystals, um because of I trust the quality control. Okay. But anyway, what is the right way to work with them or program them, like connect with them? It's really, there's no right way, because each individual is going to have their own relationship. It's like, it's like asking if we have a mutual friend. Yeah, that's my rooster Goldie. He's gotten very vocal. I thought he was a hen, but turns out he's a rooster. Anyway, if we have a mutual friend and you ask me, like, how am I supposed to relate with this friend? I could give you some ideas, but eventually I'm really just giving you my experience. And so the right way to work with crystals is the way that you develop. But one thing that I will say is that when it comes to working with crystals, one of the simplest ways to work with them is just to use them as a tool to practice your visualization. So for instance, if you can make your the image that you see here, if I can close my eyes and I can recreate a perfect image of this crystal in my mind, that opens up a lot of doors. And by creating a perfect image of this in my mind, I'm talking like I will like look at it, close my eyes, look at it, close my eyes, visualize it, and then I'll spin it around, like I'll move it, and I'll visualize when I open my eyes, it's going to look like this. Yep. Little bit off, little details I didn't miss. But what you're trying to be able to do is, again, conceptualize it in your mind, right? So in a way, you're not really programming the crystal, you're actually allowing the crystal to program you, right? So that's one way to work with it. Another way to work with it, and this is actually surprisingly something I haven't done yet. The rooster was a jump scare. Sorry, bro. Just keeping you on your toes, you know what I'm saying? We also have a rooster we thought was a head. Yeah, like once they start growing those little tail feathers, that's what really did it for me. And he started crowing, obviously. But so I do this exercise. Usually I have you guys do it with your thumb, but I'm going to do it right now with a crystal. So if you want to do it with me with a crystal, this is part of my daily practice. I have other exercises that I'm not going to do right now. But this eye exercise, quite simply, is something that I do on the regular, that if you want to increase your peripheral vision, if you want some just like random side effects from doing this is called sensory mechanics. That's the name of the body of work that this comes from, sensory mechanics. But basically what you do is you take your crystal and you hold it out like this at arm's length, and you're going to have 3 different positions for your eyes to be in. The first one is going to be crossed and looking up, more so looking up than crossed. You're just trying to establish a center for yourself, and do it without scrunching the forehead. So let the eyebrows almost even be heavy. You can even use your finger, kind of push them down. This is convergence. From convergence, we go to focus, which is literally just looking at the crystal. I usually use my thumb, but you can use a crystal. Then what you do is you go into the peripheral. So without looking away from the crystal, you just start to see everything that's around you. And then we go back to convergence. So inhale to convergence, exhale onto the focus on the crystal, and then inhale into the peripheral, and then exhale into the peripheral. So you're just eating all of this information. So I'm looking at the crystal, but I'm seeing the guitar. Inhale to convergence, eyes look up and cross, eyebrows are heavy. Exhale, focus on the crystal. Inhale, go into the peripherals. Exhale, stay in the peripherals. One more time. Inhale, convergence. Exhale, focus on the crystal. Inhale, take in all this peripheral vision. Exhale, keep taking in the peripheral vision. You can do that as much as you want. You can go cross like it, you are it's like not like cross-eyed looking at your nose, it's cross-eyed looking at your eyebrows. It's the same as like taking your hands and pushing them together. Think about that, right? Like when you push your hands together and you put them up here, right? It's like you're centering and driving upward. So the same thing with the eyes is you're centering, but you're driving it upward. So it's like that, but with your eyes and a crystal. So anyway, that's one really fun way to work with crystals. Again, like the visual, like the fact that they're like, oh my god, they're pretty. Like that's a thing. That's a thing. And but again, some people think they're just pretty and they're not, like they don't actually have impact on us. And you can be, if you think that, that's what's going to happen. That's like having a friend again that has a lot of really good wisdom or advice, but you never ask them questions, or anytime they talk you're not listening. So working with crystals is quite simply like, think of it like a friend. Sit down, reflect with it, let it program you as much as you're trying to program it. And I would say before you before you start to program your crystals, see in what way that they program you. This is a very valuable skill. Even if all you can do is figure out, oh, this is how, since I've had this crystal in my life, these are some things that I've been more mindful of. Even if it's just like that's super helpful. Yeah, and I've been riding around with like the same crystals for, like, I haven't bought a new crystal for myself in years. What's up, AJ? Oh yeah. Here she is. Yo, I am so excited for that book of yours, sis. Oh my god. I like literally got chills. I said it in my email, but I got chills reading the log line. So I'm super excited. See, after I watched a video of yours that taught this, I did it with my black tourmaline, and I've never had a better connection to crystals. Let's go, Sadie. Right. And it's like these are simple things, and it's in the simple things where like pretty much all of the power is, guys. You know what I mean? Like there's all these people selling these like unique systems, and it's like, I don't know, it's not that any of them are not worth it, but this is simple stuff. And again, everything that I'm working on, like I'm working on a big like Robin Hood project over here, guys, and so I'm really excited to like share some of this stuff with you when it's time. It's not time, but soon will be time. Yeah, like working with the elements, like if you've got anger, go dig a hole, scream into the hole, bury the hole, right? Give it to the earth. Figure out like your context of things. If you're angry, and you have an ocean but you don't have a shovel, go scream into the ocean. Like the planet can take it, and she wants to take it. Like, you think there's such a beautiful harmony between us and nature. Like, we breathe out carbon dioxide. Just making sure I got my roosters are fighting. You guys want to see some chicken fights? I might get banned for that. We exhale the thing that plants need to survive. And that's what I mean by the planet can take what our natural waste product is and turn it into something that's beneficial for us again by using it as something beneficial for itself. There's a difference between these like kind of like natural spectrums of utilizing the earth, because the earth wants to be used, and some of the very unnatural kind of like hyper capitalistic warmongering energy. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And the beauty of being alive where we're at is recognizing like we don't have to dismantle that system. Okay, we don't have to dismantle the government or the patriarchy or any of that stuff. It's doing that to itself. It's fulfilling. It's like an old man that's like, I just want to be in control a little bit longer. It's like, that's fine. You do the thing that you're doing. We are going to be over here training our bodies and training our minds, so that when the time comes for us to step in, when there's a big vacuum of leadership, we'll be ready. And we'll be attuned, and we will be ourselves. Like, I made a video today. I was like, in 2025, the strategy is be on your own team. Like, be ruthlessly loyal to yourself in 2025. And I'm not saying like disrespect and harm anyone that's not you. What I'm saying is, like, stop building your friend's business. Start building your business. Stop doing things for other people's satisfaction. Do things for your satisfaction. 2025, like, we're getting closer and closer to 2027, which is going to be an age that is ruled by individuals, which is a very interesting thing to think about, because being ruled by an individual, it's something that we haven't had. We've always had, at least in our lifetimes, we've always had some kind of like collective ruler, right? Like Trump is the collective ruler, but you're even starting to see people, a lot of people don't want that. And it's like, that's fine, because at the end of the day, he's not in your body ruling over you. You have to do that for yourself. You have to rule over your own body. And so, like, I made a video about like, oh, big whoop, there's a new president. I would have made that whether or not Trump won. I would have made it with Kamala had won. I'd have made it if Trump won, if someone else, because again, I'm looking ahead and I'm looking at where we're at, which is this system is falling apart, and we can't rely on a new president to fix it. We have to create the systems that are going to sustain us. And I'm talking like food, access to water, shelter, proper connection with spirit, proper connection with people in our lives, like full transparency in our communications, and vulnerability with our emotions, but also responsibility with our emotions, not putting things on people because we can't process it alone, but because we've processed it alone enough to realize that we need help, and asking for help. Like 2027, it's going to be about the individual. It's going to be about your process. And a lot of people have been trained to think that that's selfish, as a means of keeping them fiercely loyal to some system that doesn't actually give them things. It gives them the bare minimum so that they don't run away, right? It's like an abusive relationship, but you can run away. But you still have to run towards yourself. You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, the tea is already hitting, guys, and we are at 7.8 thousand likes. I've like stopped caring about likes in these lives for like the past week or two, which is funny, because I think they are important, but I stopped caring about them. And for anyone that's liking the live and sharing the live, I love you. Thank you. As I often say, is like you contributing your energy to me. Like I'm working for all of us, guys. I've been in this experiment for 12 years. As 12 years ago is about the time that I got introduced to Reiki, and that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. And since then, I've been endeavoring to share this information with as many people as I possibly can, because there are people out there that are looking for this. And there are people out there that are selling it at a ridiculous price and don't actually have a full scope of the picture of what's going on. But anyway, I'm just really excited to have the opportunity to, in a way, like be a champion, especially with my 31st gate. 31st gate is the gate of influence. And for a long time, I ran away from being an influencer. I didn't want to influence people the wrong way, but I realized that if I influence authentically, I'm going to be letting people know, hey, this is my way. You develop your own way, but this is my way. And if you want to use my way as a means of like scaffolding for you to develop your way, 100%. Random, how do I read the non-self chart in the Neutrino app? So the not self chart is quite literally the opposite of your body graph, right? And so it's less, and not to say that you can't read it, but if you learn how to interpret your own body graph, the not self body graph is literally just like the opposite of it. It's like the antithesis of you. It's the polarized version of you. And so, for instance, the not self version, my not self version is an emotional manifester, right? And so for me to make, to constantly be riding emotional waves and to be constantly responding to the world and making decisions with my gut, that is like the thing that I've noticed for me. When I rely too heavily on that and I don't allow myself those 28 days, my normal strategy or my actual strategy and authority, usually like I need to like start shifting. And for me as a reflector, it's very much so about the people and the amount of energy I invest into people. It's different for other types, but is definitely one of those things where when I notice my not self body graph showing up, it's just showing me that I'm not actually using the circuitry that I was born with. And so anyway, thanks for telling us about the Neutrino app. I love it. It's the coolest app. Adrian, what's up? My soul called business. Hello all. What's up? Yeah, it's like it's the best app. And I'm really excited because I'm basically yeah, I'm doing some really cool things with Neutrino that are going to be revealed in the next couple months. I'm like, I want to tell you guys, but I'm not. I'm not going to tell you. But there are a lot. Again, there are a lot of really cool things coming down the pipeline for you guys that are in the vein of like, better access to the app, better guidance with the app, just some new features and systems, and like the whole everything that I'm doing here, guys, is just going to get a huge upgrade. So there might be some Reiki stuff in there as well. And yeah, it's gonna be a good 2025 for anybody that rolls with me. There's gonna be a good 2025. You're welcome, Seti. Thank you for the recognition and the thanks. I do it with so much love in my heart and so much for the next generation, man. Like, I didn't plan on having kids, but when I had a kid, it became really clear to me, like, oh, I know exactly what I have to do. I know exactly what I have to do. So Neutrino Design, I did not develop it, but I am partnered with the developer, and I work really closely with him, and we're good friends. And he basically does everything I say, which is like really cool. He doesn't do everything I say, but most of the things I say, I'm a third line. But we just have a really great resonance, he and I, because he's a 3-5 manifesting generator, and I'm a 3-5 reflector. And I tell him, I think I've told him before, it's like, hey, if I was like a manifesting generator, I'd probably be like you. So yeah, it's really cool. And he's the same way. He's a family guy, and we just love this world of human design specifically. And he's someone that saw what was going on in the marketplace in terms of human design apps and was like, these all suck. Similar to what I was saying, is these all suck. I'll use this one, but that's only because there's not a better one available, and he created one. So can you tell me, if you edit words on a gate, does it change it for everyone or just you? Just you. But you can export that. Like, for instance, if your friend wanted your words in their gates, you can export a gate or all of the gates or etc. It's very customizable. You can export it, send them a code, and they can download it, and then they'll have your words on their app. Would say, hi there, I'm looking forward to learn the app. I discovered HD a few years ago, kind of fell off, and now it's popping up more and more. I think it's time for me to dive in. Yeah. So my so-called business, welcome to Neutrino. Welcome to the world of neutrinos. Yeah, Neutrino Design is an incredible app. The regular subscription price is like $37, but if you go through ReikiMarco.com, you can get it for like $26. So it's 25% off. And it's the same app. It's like the full features and everything. I love the story. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. 1-3 ego projector recovering from unhealed MG marriages. Excited for 2025. Yes. Yeah. It's time to live your own life, my friends. It's very much so time to live your own life. This chapter of 2027 again is like, post 2027, we're going to start to build society with the individual in mind, right? And you already see it, guys. You already see it. It's like, you don't want anything unless it's custom, right? Everyone wants it's like things are niching down so hard, and it's because of the internet, it's because of the technology. And it's so interesting because Ra could not have predicted how we would get there, but he is predicting very much so, like, for the first time in human history, you, and I mean you where you're at, not you if you start posting and have thousands of followers and stuff. You could go into a franchise like a Chili's, and this is actually something that happened. Film a video, and if it's filmed just right and it tickles people the right way, you could like make half of their sales in the upcoming year. And I say this from a perspective because people understand the impact that money has. If you, as a single creator, are solely responsible for 40% of a business's sales just from making a video, like you're making an advertisement, that's something they would have had to spend thousands of dollars to a creative agency to design, film, distribute, etc. And we can do all of that with our smartphones. So there is so much power in our hands, guys. You are literally choosing based off of the type of content that you consume. You are choosing who gets more attention on them. And so, number one, thank you for choosing me and learning, but also recognize that like you have so much power as the creative and the consumer that we just didn't, even 5 years ago, we didn't have this level of technology at our disposal. So it is time to, how you say, remind ourselves what we're here to do, which let's not make it how you say confusing. You are here to manifest your essence in the world. You are here to contribute something that is inside you, possibly covered up by a bunch of other people's stuff or a bunch of self-limiting beliefs, but there's something inside you that the world wants. There's something inside you that the world wants. And if you never learn how to give it to the world, you will suffer. You will suffer. That is one of the greatest sufferings, more than physical pain, more than emotional pain. The one of the greatest thing that a human being can suffer is having something inside them that wants to be manifested, not manifest. And yes, you can feel that. And you see it around in other people, especially people with, like, for instance, undefined sacral centers, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. When you see someone and they're like excited about something, but they're not passionate about it, like they're not willing to bet on themselves, they're not willing to suffer for the thing that they love, it eats away at them. And those are the same people that run to drugs and toxic relationships and, indulging in sex and distractions and all that stuff. Those are the same people, because instead of betting on themselves and suffering the pain of discipline, they're going to look for something else. Again, they're going to look externally to fill a void in themselves, rather than recognizing, like, it's not about filling the void in you. It's about bringing whatever is inside you to help fill the void out here. Because when you see someone doing that, like you see me doing that, I'm manifesting my essence into the world through TikTok, through the reports, through neutrino design, through all the stuff that I do that you guys are really grateful for. I love it, but I need you to do that for yourself. Like, that my work is so that you can not only be inspired, but also have a roadmap and a strategy to bring whatever that is within you into the world. And this is where true education is coming from. Educo is the root word of education, and it means to lead out or to draw out. Okay. It's not, a teacher filling your cup. It's you finding a well and pulling water out of the well yourself. That's what this is about. Manda Star and I, welcome to the Discord. It's a bit like the Wild Wild West in there. Be very mindful. The Discord was one of my first experiments in terms of gathering people um in like a human design way, and a very successful experiment because I learned so much. And there's also like a community of like 2,000 people just like chilling on Discord. It's not a place where I offer education or I'm doing instruction or anything. I actually have a different alias in there just because I just want to be able to like pop in and pop out. But yeah, it's called Evolve, and it is a really fun Discord community. That metaphor was perfect. Thank you. You're welcome, Casey. I actually don't even remember what metaphor I was using. So this is and if you guys are into like channelings, mediumship, stuff like that, one of the things that is let's talk about channels actually real quick, because I have a very, how you say, an unjaded perspective on channels, right? Like Bashar, like Abraham Hicks. I don't think any of them are full of shit. Okay, I'll just say that out loud, because what I'm about to say is like, oh, he thinks they're full of shit and the information they give is wrong. Not true. I just don't think that at that level, consciousness is going to like, identify itself. I think it's a tool that human beings use. It's like putting it into our language, because the pure frequencies at like those higher dimensional levels, like that's one of the things, is they're not limited by form, or rather their form is so much higher at a capacity than us, that for us to, and they say it in the Bible, is if you behold God, or even the Greek gods, if you see Zeus in all of his might, you're instantly vaporized. And so it's a protection mechanism for us to see them as an angel or an entity, or an ascended master, as opposed to what they really are, which is pure raw fucking power, right? And it's we're viewing just a pinprick of the power that they have. And the true message of channelers, and channelers have so many different messages, but I think the true message of channelers moving into this new age is going to be, hey, you guys can do this too. Hey, we're just tapping into our essence, right? We're just tapping into what's inside us and sharing what's going on inside us. You got to do this for yourself. You can't just rely on Bashar or so and so. And a lot of the channelers will do that. Like the one of the things that I love about Bashar is, and he's a channeler that I've been following for a really long time. One of the things I love about him is when people ask questions, he always like turns it back on them. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to channeling. Like the main message that channels are here to bring us is, hey, look, be brave, be willing to be viewed and perceived as someone that's crazy and lost their mind, as a side effect of you doing what you came here to do, of you manifesting your true education into the world. Like, be willing to be called crazy, be willing to suffer for that. Because why else are we here? I don't know. I don't know. And by when I say like the manifestation of essence as well, what I'm also talking about, like, is if your deepest desire is to be a mother, if your deepest desire is to be a farmer, or something like simple and humble like that, like that is enough. Again, society and technology has this brainwash that it's like, oh, you have to have these big aspirations and you have to be an influence. Not everyone is designed to be an influencer. Not everyone is going to have energy for that, or even have a configuration that's conducive to do like what I'm doing. Like, I'm to my best knowledge, right? I'm doing this like influencer thing the best way that I know how, taking advantage of what I know how to. And you could spin your circuitry any way and basically justify any role, any system. But it's better to do it that way than to not have a system, than to not acknowledge that, hey, there are patterns in life, and if we do not acknowledge the patterns in life, we are in delusion. Sadie, you joined the Discord through the website, so go to my main website, not like the links that I have. I took that one down, but I'll put it, actually I'll probably put it back up. But go to that website and then scroll down, and right next to, I think, Neutrino Design, the button there, you'll see the Discord app to join the Discord. I hear you. There are different ways to channel. It may also depend on who/what you're channeling. So yes, others can do it. Many don't know how. Right. And that's the thing, is like, we don't know how. But the channeling, like Bashar channeling through David, I think that's his name, David Atkins, is that his name? Channeling through David, like that's a unique process. And yes, he can tell you exactly how he channels, and you might be able to replicate it exactly, but because your circuitry is different, right? Because your imprints and your body graph is different, you will manifest something different, right? Just because we are both like radios tuning into different frequencies. This radio is set for this band. This radio is set for this. We're all unique. So anyway, Daryl, thank you, Casey. Me and my daughter are both manifestors. God, that must be so fun. That was kind of sarcastic. I didn't mean to be rude. That actually could be really freaking awesome though. And again, it's like, compatibility between types is how you say, everything is like explorative, right? Like, you're not looking to like prove anything. You're just looking to look through a certain lens and see things through a certain lens. And then when you've seen enough, you can look through a different lens. But for that mama, Mermaid Suki, what is something that you could share with us as a manifester, having a manifester daughter? If you'd like to inform us of something, what would you like to inform us of? Sugar Shannon, just go to my website, ReikiMarco.com. Link is also in the bio. Plug in your birth information and it'll pop out your chart. Now, I do recommend, especially if you're brand new to human design, like you're just going to have to trust me. There are a lot of people saying a lot of things about human design. And as someone that's been in the space for over a decade, not all of it is awesome. A lot of it actually is just kind of garbage and regurgitated stuff. Um, I have reports after you generate your body graph that you'll see. There's a budget report for 20 bucks and there's a $35 report that will give you an analysis of your body graph, same thing that the $20 report will do, but it will also give you access to like my human design 101 and techniques 101. So it's more comprehensive. I recommend doing that. Again, 20 bucks or 35 bucks, but it's going to save you so much confusion because you'll just be able to go to your report anytime you have a question about, oh, what's in my human design? And you'll be able to just read simple words of like, okay, that's what that is. That's what this is. This is how it shows up. This is how to work with it. Right. Again, there's so much information about human design out there and it's very validating. And so there's a hunger to go after more of information. Do your best not to do that. Just get the report, or if you can't get the report, just apply your strategy and authority, and the report will tell you apply your strategy and authority for a month or two before you start diving deeper. Because again, this is about you seeing for yourself, not you figuring out some new leader or cult to join. To say, manifestor kids need freedom to express themselves and they need to be respected. She's 7 and I make great efforts to listen and let her know I value her thoughts and ideas. You sound like a wonderful mom. Thank you for sharing that. I have a manifestor daughter as well. And that's something that as a parent, I've noticed there's a lot of just kind of like subconscious control that I want to put onto my daughter in terms of like, that's not safe. But you know, in reality, it's like, what I'm learning is to redefine what safety means. Because as a child, there's certain things that she's going to do that are totally not safe, like climbing up rocks. But if I never let her do that, she's never going to build the confidence to climb up rocks. Now, granted, there is a threshold of like once her skill level is there and she can do it a little bit more safely. But also that even that at that time is an edge. So I love that for you, mermaid Suki. I love that for you. I love that for your daughter. Um, yeah, manifestor children are so special as well because in a lot of ways we're moving away from a manifestor centric world towards a projector centric world, right? Because in this age of individuals in 2027, the people who are able to recognize who is an individual and guide people towards individuality, those are going to be the kings and queens of the new world. The leaders of the old world are the manifestors, the initiators, the ones who are starting things. The leaders of the new world are the projectors, the ones that are guiding people towards manifestation of their own essence, towards true education. My small brother is a manifester and we don't get along. I'm a projector. What is Simi Snap? Can you give me some more? Like, what are some things that your brother does that irk you or that upset you? Do you think more of the kids are coming in emotional authority? So scientifically, the emotional um the spectrum is going to get larger. Like there's going to be more kids that are born that are dead emotionally, primarily because their upbringing and they're more emotionally empathic. And so there's going to be treatments and, oh, your kid has this disorder. And so we need to do this to them, that are going to, again, manipulate the new children coming in to try and make them more like the normal human beings, but they're not here to be normal. They're here to have advanced emotional mechanics, which if you don't tend to those properly and cultivate confidence in them to express themselves, they're going to become incredibly stifled. And so I think it's a two-handed or it's a double-edged blade in the sense that it's like the kids are going to have more emotional capacity, but they're also going to be, how you say, easier to traumatize because of that emotional capacity. This is my prediction. And so the skills that a parent is going to need moving forward is going to be more so about discerning where their projections on the child are getting in the way of their child actually being themselves and cultivating that emotional expression and sense of safety. Yeah, we still have issues getting along. My mom is a reflector, same as my brother is a manifester. I'm also a projector. We have issues getting along. Yeah, and recognize, like, just because you have issues getting along with someone, doesn't mean that you're incompatible. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the other person. Doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. That's just where you're at in the journey. And one thing that I've learned to appreciate, like when I'm not getting along with someone, I don't try and like think of all the good things that like get them. I just get really clear on the type of relationship I want to have with that person. Like, oh, let's say, one of my family members is just, having some kind of like, what do you call it, emotional wave, and they're looking for someone to join in with them. I'm not joining in with them. When they have their emotional waves, like, I'm like, okay, I'm not here for this conversation. I'll literally will just turn around and walk away or hang up the phone. And that I've been taught to believe that that is rude and that's not kind and all this stuff. But I'm like, if it kills me inside to connect with this person, I'm supposed to just like sacrifice myself so this person doesn't feel unwanted. They don't even want themselves. That's why they're looking for someone to join in on their pity party. Anyway, let's see. I love hearing that I'm an emo projector. Hearing that makes me release the self-doubt. Yes. I'm not sure what you when you said that, my so-called business, but I'm happy that that's how you feel. Because again, releasing self-doubt is it's one of the great results of like this work, right? Is being able to release the I don't know who I am, and because I don't know who I am, like I'm just gonna try and be like everybody else or do what everyone else tells me to do. Right? Knowing who you are through experimentation is one of the greatest gifts, but it's also, is one of the greatest inertias that we have to overcome. Because, for instance, if someone asks you to try something that you've never tried before, and you've been doing something a certain way and it's been working for you, granted, it's emotional and it's, some frustration and it's like, it's not perfect, but it works for you. Asking you to abandon what you've been doing that has, it's like a carriage with a broken wheel, but it's still a carriage, right? Asking you to do something different, that it takes a lot of courage to just start experimenting with something different, and that's because you know yourself. So this is one of those things where it's like you can use your doubts in a positive way. It's, well, what if the way that I've been doing things is not the best way for me? What if this way is actually better? And as as the 3-5 likes to say, you got to fuck around to find out a little bit. Okay. A few years in and out of intensity towards my experiment through yoga and Reiki experiments, I'm starting to get a hold of my top 3 centers being undefined with everything being defined, that my head and my body are simultaneously having different experiences. Boom. Boom. That's the thing, that yoga is a means of strengthening the body so that the body can spend more time in stillness to observe, right? And what I mean by that is yoga is quite literally a way to strengthen the body so that you can sit in meditative postures for longer. And yoga is not actually helping you in the sense of becoming yoga in a lot of ways is a part of the equation. Yoga is wonderful, but without trash talking yoga too much, there are things that yoga does, especially in the long term, in terms of like a lot of like, especially if you're doing like hatha yoga, like deep stretches, muscles are supposed to be right. When you do like these elongations and you like spend a lot of time in them, you have to be really mindful, because you uh basically are draining the elasticity out of your muscles, and that you don't want that. It's the same thing as if you're like sitting for a long time and you're crossing your legs and your butt's falling asleep. Like there's parts of your body that are like, oh, you want this to turn off and relax? Okay, let's do that. So then when it comes to walking, running, and throwing, which are the activities that we participate in a lot as human beings, and what makes us human beings is specifically the way we walk and how it's different from every other life form on the planet. That is interrupted. So if you are doing yoga, one of the things that I would recommend you do is tack on biomechanics, right? Tack on walking, running, and throwing, training walking, running, and throwing, and you can just walk and run, go for runs, Or you could come into like my ecosystem, join the archive, start training with specific protocols and specific workouts to train your walking, running, and throwing. And this is something that I offer in my community called the archive. It's only 11 bucks a month right now. Price is going to go up though, guys. Not a lot, but it's definitely um like I said, I'm reevaluating my whole ecosystem, and I'm so excited about this new journey that I'm going to be able to take you guys on because of some of this new software and this new technology that I've been turned on to. So see, what is a manifesting generator? So manifesting generator is a generator with a manifesting channel. Primarily follow your gut. That's your strategy. But there are going to be times when it's like your gut is like, we have to do that. Do it. There's gonna be times when you're gonna wanna, your gut will tell you to initiate something, right? Go do it. Any courses slash tips on bus living? Man, it's like, there's no such thing as a reward without a risk. I remember being in this bus crying, like right there. I was right there on the floor before I had installed the floor, before I had filled it with my stuff. I remember freaking just like crying, being like, did I make the right choice? Like, this is so much work, blah blah blah. And my partner was like, she just let me cry for a little bit, but then she came back and she just reassured me. She was like, there's no one really doing this, Marco. There's no one that's like raising a child and having a business online, and at least in our circle that we know. And she was just like, I believe in you. I trust your judgment. And this is one of the greatest things I think that a woman can give to her man is, hey, look, no matter what happens, I'm going to stick by you. I trust your judgment. And so for all the women that are here, that are single, wondering what men want, we want someone that's on our team. And we want someone that is going to simultaneously trust us and follow us no matter where we go, and also have the ability and the confidence to say, hey, if you're going there, I'm not following. That is a very important thing for a woman to be able to do, to say, look, I'll follow you anywhere except for there. And that's as a woman, that's just having standards for yourself. And for the women that are in partnerships, maybe your relationship with your partner is good, maybe it's not so good, but if you want to make it better, just pour some love into them. Let them know that you appreciate them, because we can never hear it enough. And same thing for any of the men watching that have women in your life. Let them know you got them. Let them know that no matter what happens, that you'll come find them, that you'll pick them up, that you'll carry them across the finish line with you. This is what we all crave. And we all want someone to do that for us. But until you're willing to do that for someone else, no one is ever going to do that for you. So yeah, if they offer support back. Well, so this is what I'm saying, Lily, is like, if they offer support back, cool, but you have to be the one to, and again, as the conscious person in the relationship. And I've seen this happen a lot, where it's like people have been in a relationship for a long time, some people married, some people with kids, and usually it's the woman that starts to outpace the man in spirituality, and they want to be met in that. Well, if my woman starts to become more spiritual and she starts to become more judgmental towards me as opposed to more supportive and more loving and more kind, what am I going to think about the stuff that she's doing? Wow, that stuff must not be good, because it's destroying our relationship. If you want your man to meet you, instead of judging them for not being spiritual enough, just learn to appreciate them for where they actually are, which is the true developing of compassion and spirituality, is to love people exactly where they're at and to remove your needs from them. What do you need for yourself? Right? You can want things from people, but your needs you have to satisfy for yourself. So anyway, sure, give and give and give and still feel alone. So with that, I will say, Lily, there is a point where you have to make that choice of, hey, I have been giving and there is not any change. And this is recognizing like, oh, that's where you're at. And this is where I'm at. But it's not a how you say again, you're not running away from the problem. You're actually running through the problem. Right. I have always been the one doing the supporting and loving and caring, but I always get dumped on still. Yep. And this could apply to relationships between siblings. Absolutely. So for again, for the people that are tired, specifically for the women here that are like tired of giving, um, again, there comes a point where you have to make that decision of like, okay, I want to be met in this. But one thing that I will say is in the desire to be met, right? Where are you confusing your needs and your wants? Right? Because there's how you say, and especially I think women in like their later years, like 50s and 60s, like people that are my parents' age, there's something beautiful about recognizing that sexuality starts to how you say leave the system, or it matures as we get older. Sexuality matures, right? Like you're not always just like horny and wanting to have babies your entire life. As we get older, and I've witnessed this in older people, relationships are not necessarily about sexuality anymore, and some people are stuck in that, and you can spend however many years waiting for them. But my rule is like, if you give 18 months to this experiment and say, okay, with this mentality, I'm going to do as best as I can to find the connections that I'm looking for outside of my relationship without breaking my agreements. And I'm going to remove the pressure from my partner to meet me in this certain space. And I'm just going to show them the benefits of me doing all this spiritual stuff, right? Because then that's an 18-month experiment for you to see for yourself, is my partner going to respond or not? That's long enough for me. Let 2 years, just broke up with him, so I don't have to act in ways that I don't value. Lily, well done. Because here's the thing, in terms of like our mental connection with people in our lives, it takes 18 months to build, tear down, and rebuild new connections in our brain, the neuroplasticity. Things like mushrooms and ayahuasca, psychedelics help with the neuroplasticity, but generally speaking, it takes 18 months to familiarize ourselves with an actual person as opposed to who we think the person is. And so one of the things that again is important, especially if you're thinking of how you say, and this is more so for people that are like married and have children and stuff, it's like there's make the effort to save the relationship. If you're in a relationship and it's like more casual, like you don't need to wait. I wouldn't wait 18 months. If you're not feeling it, just like find someone that is. But this is specifically for people that are, there's children involved, there's like deeper commitments, because a lot of people just say, oh, just dip. But I'm like, make sure you do everything that you can before you dip. You might have to dip, but make sure you make an effort. And the effort is you focused. It's not, how do I get my partner to meet me here? It's you focused. So I needed to get this years ago. I'm so grateful for it now. Be smart. Yes. Yes. Yeah, so anyway, that's a fun topic, because again, relationships are so important. And I'm really tired. I've grown so much. Again, this is where, it takes courage sometimes to leave something that is not correct for you. But that's what this is all about. That's what human design is supposed to empower you to do, is have an internal authority, right? Have a way of establishing, okay, this is what's good for me. And even if it goes against what the rest of the world wants, like I have to live with myself. So that's what I'm going to be loyal to. And that's what 2025 is about for me, guys. The 2025 is about loyalty to yourself, so that you can create a family, so that you can create a friend group, so that you can create an environment that is conducive for you to thrive in. Because you might be living in an environment that's very conducive for you to survive in, which is just barely like I'm safe. I have enough food. I have enough water. Again, these are like needs, right? You need to eat, you need water, you need shelter, right? You need some type of way to be emotionally regulated. Like you can't be getting attacked all the time. Those are needs. I want to experience a partner that reciprocates my love. I want to experience intimacy and in-depth and stimulating conversation. Those are wants. You see what I'm saying? When you can discern the difference between needs and wants, your relationships will change 100%. Because what I imagine you realized is that you're meeting your needs, and now you feel justified in asking for something that you want or the things that you want, and you're not being met in that. And so that is grounds to leave. If you are not meeting your own needs and you're asking for something, that is not grounds to leave. There's nothing wrong with the other person until you figure out that you are, again, the common denominator in both of those scenarios. You have to figure out, what are my needs, what are actual needs that I have, and what are wants that I have, and am I justified in wanting things? Because again, if you're not giving yourself what you need, then when you ask for something that you want, it's just like you're really asking for them to meet your needs for you, which is not fun. To have to meet the needs for someone. My ego projector self is looking out for my special needs kids and elderly parents. Yes. Yes. And one of the things about the ego is, the ego is designed to keep the family together, to deliver the goods, to be the best, to be first, to be in control, so that the family can thrive on the material plane. So for instance, your ego, um Manda Starry Night, is very important, right? You proving things to yourself and proving things to other people is natural. It's actually important for you. Lily, he's a great guy, just wasn't working. I wasn't happy with the relationship. I'm happy alone. Yes. I'm curious, Lily, did you discover human design before, during, or after this breakup? I'm going to go pee real quick. People ask me how I stay so grounded, and I just tell them I pee and poop on the earth. Anyway, before the breakup, had human design reading before, but I can't find it now. Oh. Can you please talk about cold thirst digestion? I got you. Thank you for being patient. My daughter has cold thirst. So when it comes to determination, which is your digestion, what we're saying, or what the body graph is telling us, is that if you have cold thirst, the way to optimize your mental functionality is to be drinking liquids that are below body temperature. So it doesn't mean like only smoothies. Like, it means if you have hot soup in front of you, wait for it to cool down before you consume it. And the idea as well is, like, that's not the only way to eat. It's just the most optimized. It's like how your system is going to receive that information the best. For instance, another way to view this is also through information, because it's not just food that we're consuming, it's also information. When it comes to digesting things, something that you might think about is, for instance, instead of reading a book, having somebody else read the book for you, like liquefy it or digest it, or a summary of the book, as opposed to just reading the book. Like, there's different ways that you can apply this. And again, the idea is, um, the arrows and the variables are going to tell us about the architecture of our mind. Like, what's the optimal way that our mind works? Like, the body graph shows us this is the optimal way that your body works. The variables, the arrows, tell you about that. And again, all of this information is in my reports, by the way. So all of the, like, information on calm touch, information about your environment, all of that is in my reports. Excuse me. Big facts. It does boil down to what your needs and wants are, being able to express openly and honest. Yes, my so-called business. Man, this is a good live, guys. I don't know about you, but I am feeling this as a good live. I have passive digest. I have passive no. Yeah, I have passive digestion as well. I have low sound digestion. So generally speaking, if your arrows are facing to the right, you're more passive. It's more about, like, when you feel like eating, rather than like having a structure to eat. And when you're on the left side, it's like, oh yeah, be more engaged, have more of a structure. I've already bought the 20% and I'm confused. What are you confused about? Mine are all left. Okay, yeah, so a lot of structure for yourself then. And for you as an ego projector, that's actually really the way that you want to spin that is like, what are the systems that you use? And by systems, I mean you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, like a song, right? You don't sing the outro before the intro. It's like intro, verse. So system. Look at your life in the form of systems. What is the optimized version of this system? What can I add? What can I take away? How can I optimize this system? Because again, your left facing variables, that's what they're designed to do. My zodiac is I'm a Pisces, Sun, Libra, Moon, Virgo rising. That is really helpful. Yes, wonderful. And one of the things I would also say is like when it comes to being invited to things, right? You are able to how you say suss out the people that can recognize you based off of their ability to recognize your active participation in things. For instance, it's like if you want to be in a group of people but they don't ask you questions and you're not able to actively participate in that environment, it's they don't recognize you. You need to find different people. I just want to have good energy day, but food drains me and I usually have headaches. Simi snap. So Slimmy Snap, if we were working together, I would give you a lot of, or I would investigate a lot in terms of what your daily routines are like and the way that you set yourself up for your day. And not to say that I don't think that what you're doing right now is good enough, but we all have right internal systems that when we use them, they benefit us, like walking, throwing, for instance. Like when you throw, there's the gravity and the momentum of your throwing forces fluid into your joints that would not get there if you're not throwing. Same thing with walking. When you walk, your calves pump blood back up to the heart. So if you're not working, you're not walking or running, there's a circulation issue, right? And so those are the things that I address. Again, the actual needs. Yep, figured this out at 48, right? Julia, hello. This is a great live. Thank you for always sharing and engaging. It's my honor. It's my pleasure. I love doing this so much. I'm cold thirst. Solid food will drain me. I wait till I get my big stuff done till I eat heavier. Right. Because again, it's like, you know, when you're eating cold thirst, like your mind is nimble and it's able to like go. When you do things outside of the cold thirst, your mind will start to slow down. And that's not a bad thing. You just have to know that that's what happens. Right. And again, don't just take my word for it. Like experiment with it. See how it goes. Have an activity that's a static activity like working on a book or making music, right? And experiment with, okay, I'm gonna eat cold thirst before I do this, and then okay, I'm gonna at a different instance, I'm gonna not eat cold thirst and then do this and see what happens. Like experiment for yourself, guys. It's very cool. I'm Sun, Pisces, Libra, Moon. Oh, Adam. Yeah. Oh yeah. What's up, my brother? When's your birthday? I'm 3/9/93, which is a palindrome, which is really cool. I thought I had an issue reading, but audiobooks I can digest better. This makes sense. Yes, 3/11/04. Okay. Them Pisces boys. I'm a baby. Yeah, I'm 31 years old, guys. Which quick poll, do I look older or younger than 31? And maybe not just look, but what your first impression of me, did you think I was older or younger than 31? I'm just being selfish right now. I'm curious. Let me know in the chat. Younger. You thought I was younger. Okay. Younger. I love this, guys. 31 on the money. Yeah. A creator that I really love here on TikTok, her name is Tangi. She is a projector. And so if you're a projector, I highly recommend following her. Her handle is the Feel Good Expert. I don't think I have her tagged in some of my videos. They're probably like way deep down there. But if you look up the Feel Good Expert or you look up Tangi, she's a projector and she has a before and after picture of herself, like before learning human design and after learning human design. And she's like reversing her aging. I love her. I follow her. Great. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't follow her, Yeah, if you guys could, if one of you guys wouldn't mind like throwing her handle in here, that would be great. But I recommend her in a lot of ways because what I've noticed about her, and I track people over time. Um, the um, the projectorness of her content is like it's very projectorness. Like I view her as someone that is like genuinely herself. I've had have a handful of conversations with her, but mostly, I have people on like the outskirts of my friendships based off circumstance. Um, and I'm always watching of like who's themselves and who's not themselves. And Tangi is someone that is you can tell that they are themselves because of the results that they have. They've been in the experiment for a while, and she's physically looks healthier. And so, the feel good expert. That's it. Thank you, MJ. I appreciate you. I thought you were a little older, maybe mid 30s. You seem more mature. I'm not going by looks. Got it. Got it. Angelique says I look younger, but when I hear you, I can hear your life experience. Yeah. So again, I'm 31, but that was really fun because one of the benefits of following human design, which another way of saying that is one of the benefits with aligning with your natural inherent energy is anti-aging, right? Like if you don't understand how to deal with the pressure of thinking and doing, which is head and root, if you don't know how to navigate the pressure of thinking and doing, you will age prematurely. Like, why do you think in the Bible, right, in Noah's Ark, why do you think Noah was like hundreds of years old? My guess is that people will live longer when they're able to use their own circuitry, when they're in alignment with themselves. And again, 2025, we're marching towards 2027, which is the sleeping phoenix. 2025, this is where it's like you create and establish loyalty to your inner authority. You establish a value in unlimited power. That was hilarious. You establish value in yourself, and then you prove to yourself that value by following the experiment. So anyway, you feel like an old soul. I woke up early, guys. That's all I'll say. I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm an old soul, and it's not that I don't believe them, but what I recognize is like reality. And not to say that I don't have a what do you call it? An awareness of like ancient civilizations and also I dream about that stuff all the time. But the thing that I can track is that in college, I woke up in college. I ate the magic ones in college, had an awakening, and which was really, as you guys know, when you have your awakening, it's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And then it's like into the mud, into the muck, into the dark night of the soul. A lot of people call it dark night of the soul, into the dark night of the soul. And then ever since then, like I've figured out and I've built a toolkit that now, just now, that was 12 years ago, guys. Just now I'm like, okay, I've done enough. I've created a life that people dream of. I live in a bus. We live in like a magical little valley. I have a sweet little family. I don't go off to work every day. I support myself financially by offering services and sharing products, etc. Like I live like a pretty dreamy life. And everything that I did to get here, I've been keeping track of and I've been systematizing it. I'm turning it into an ecosystem that I'm going to make available to you guys very pretty soon. So manifestation, Celia, thank you so much. I'm 20 going through that right now. Adam, I'm here for you, bro. I'm here to be like your big brother. And even if you're older than me, I still want to be your big brother in the sense that, you might have the age experience on me. But what I have is a path that I've walked that anyone can walk, that again, in these lives, it's and this is the most of it I've ever dropped. Eric. But I'm about to drop something so exciting. I was like, 2025 is like you lock arms with me, and by the end of 2025, like we're gonna be looking at 2026 like this is about to be candy. Because here's the thing about other people's experience is what took me 12 years, I can help you guys do in 18 months. I can. That's just how it goes. That's why people pay for coaches, because you cannot see yourself without a mirror. And there's a lot of things that when you're doing it, you can't take time to look in the mirror. So you have to trust somebody else to watch you and make the tiny little adjustments that, oh, there's 3 years, let's shave off. There's 5 years, let's shave off. So I hear you. Old soul just means you have a deeper well of wisdom to access. That's how I see it. Right. Yeah. Everyone has the ability to access old soul energy. And I actually, one of the things that I like to do, of course, I'm such a heretic. Um, because so many people were telling me I'm an old soul, one of the perspectives that I started to live through would be like, well, what if I'm a new soul? What happens if I'm here and I have no experience or no connection to the depth and the wisdom? What if I'm a new soul? And so I started living that way, and that has a lot of benefits as well. There's a lot of magic in the world when you're a brand new soul, when you're a first timer on earth. Things are so interesting. So anyway, it's I do definitely feel like I have that depth, but also again, I can experience the nuance of it, based off of which angle I choose to perceive it from. So say it's smart to pay others for knowledge. Hiring a mentor was the best decision I've made. Right. And again, great plug for me. If you want my mentorship, go to my calendar and book me and let's have a conversation, because that's what I'm here to do. There's a couple people here in this chat that I've had calls with that I've gone really deep with. And again, things accelerate. So I have a problem stopping to smoke, but I love to smoke, but I can't seem to stop. Why do you smoke? Do you know why you smoke? Like, do you know the real reason why you smoke? Because it's like, I get like smoking to like, it's social, it calms me down, but it's like what is the thing? And not that smoking is always an avoidance of something, but a lot of people that are smoking unconsciously are doing it as a means of avoiding something. So I guess what is it that you're not able to confront? And I'm gonna have to go soon. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go soon. Really good. For me, it's avoiding my emotions. It is love to collaborate one day. I'm a noob, so unable to go live yet. Boredom, avoiding boredom. That's very, very relevant. Boredom for or what a lot of us would consider boredom is actually just our nervous system, uh, like downshifting a lot of times. Um, you know, uh, Giving ourselves the opportunity to practice conscious boredom, I think, is actually one of the coolest experiments. And you guys, again, all these experiments that I'm telling you about, you can conduct as many of them as you can keep track of, right? So the the magic of boredom is so simple, right? Like if you just instead of smoking, right? For the people that are in the boredom, like I'm using it to avoid boredom. When you get the urge to smoke, ask yourself, okay, I'm going to sit here and be bored. Like that's what I'm going to do. And the reality is that you have to exert your will. You have to exert your will. And this is why it's so valuable, because if everything inside you wants to go smoke, but you're just like, I'm just going to sit here and be bored, right? That is creating a memory of you exerting your will and overcoming the thing that you want to overcome. There's no shortcut to it. You know what I mean, guys? Like you have to exert your will, and there can be things that will help. There's little hacks and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you have to exert your will and dominate this thing that you've allowed to dominate you, because I guarantee you're a lot stronger than smoking, or you're more capable of things than you may think that you are. And one thing I want to say as well, because I think the original gal posted that was like, I do it to get into a creative state. I totally get that, but one thing that you have to consider is that maybe you're accessing the creative state when you ought to be accessing the boredom state or the resting state, right? Like, so again, society at large has us convinced that if we're not creating, that we're not being productive, or we're not doing what we're here to do. It's very important for human beings to rest. And I don't mean just getting 8 hours of sleep every night. I mean certain pockets of your day, like you can only really pay attention to something for 90 minutes, right? Before you have to like change it up a little bit. And if you'll notice, I do some things. You guys don't really see my hands, but I'm doing little things with my hands to keep my energy fresh. It's just something natural. Some people would be like, "Oh, you're autistic and you're stimming." It's like, no, I'm just accessing parts of my body that they don't teach us how to access. Anyway, creativity is more than just painting and music and art. Like having a relationship with someone it requires creative energy. So one of the things that I would say, sis, is number one, expand your conceptualization of what is a creative act and start to acknowledge some of the things in your life that are creative as creative, whereas you may just see them as not creative. And then two, embrace boredom a little bit more. And one thing that I would say is don't necessarily like try and just stop cold turkey. Like experiment with it. Like you're not like running to the grave by smoking. I don't really believe that because there's people that smoke a pack every day, whether it's weed or whether it's cigarettes, they'll smoke every day, but they have great coherence, right? Their organs are all talking to each other. They're in alignment with their energy bodies. Maybe they smoke. Someone might be like, "Oh, well, you smoke, and so you must not be in coherence." If they stopped smoking, could they be in a greater coherence? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not smoking pulls you out of your coherence. So again, this is about experimentation. This is not about what is the one size fits all solution because again, we are all very subtly unique and diverse. And this is where human design comes in. And the work that I'm doing is going to be able to very soon in 2025 is what we're going to be developing. Like, how do we use the body graph to really unlock these nuances of differentiation? So sorry, you get the last question. Ask a question. I actually have to go. I have another session happening here, and I like to give myself some time, but go ahead and ask. One thing as well, if you do like really want to stop quitting, is instead of making I'm never smoking cigarettes again, I'm quitting, just make it the day. Like just for the next hour, I'm not gonna have a cigarette. Like work at it in sizable chunks because when you tell the devil that, oh, I'm never gonna smoke another cigarette again, guess what the devil does? Oh, live was restricted, of course. TikTok should allow content like mine. Yeah, that's the answer. So anyway, I'd like to ask about the video you posted about how to use crystals in the right way, please. Okay, so sorry, and I was talking about this earlier, so I'm going to talk about something different. But if you want to catch this, go to my YouTube, and this live will be posted there. But one of the best ways to work with crystals is to work through again coherence. Like in the sense that you are focusing your awareness on the crystal is also focusing its awareness on you. So instead of trying to like program the crystal, open yourself up to be programmed by the crystal, which again, sit with the crystal and stare at it until you're bored, right? And then stare at it a little bit longer, right? And then watch what comes up. Because a lot of the times people like, I want this crystal to heal me, but every time I'm sitting with it, I feel all these uncomfortable feelings. That's it healing you. It's giving you an opportunity to touch things in yourself that you would not touch otherwise, right? And if you continue to run away from them, then you're not doing anything different. You have to do something different. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So the best way to charge it, depending on your crystal, one of the best ways to charge it is like with other crystals. Be really mindful though, because some of the composition of crystals, especially like selenite, like if you charge them with water, they will disintegrate. But typically putting crystals in water and then connecting with the water, like infusing the water with some kind of intention. I intend for these crystals to be fully charged and A, B, and C. Sunlight is a great way to charge crystals. Moonlight is a different way to charge crystals. But generally, everything comes from the sun. So again, be mindful about the composition of your crystal because some crystals will get really hot, which is one of the reasons why we put them in water. But another reason is that some crystals will actually explode if they get too hot. So anyway, and and also it's like crystals also refract light. So don't put like anything flammable around where your crystal is charging in the sun, because if the sun hits it at the right angle and it shoots a light beam into like a dry, you could start a fire. So just be mindful. But that's what I actually do. I just got crystals and I trust God. I don't charge with intention. Yeah, charge with intention. And again, you could also just charge with like, I intend for these crystals to be fully charged. You don't have to be like as specific. In some ways, being vague is totally fine. I just let them do what's good for me and my highest good. Now, sorry, if you want to maximize your what the benefits of the crystals, create some systems, create a system for yourself. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to do this. Do it for a little bit of time, and then create another system and see if you can't improve on the system before. This is just as quite literally, this is like, you know, if you want to get better at a guitar, play guitar. If you really want to get better at guitar, play guitar, film yourself, watch yourself playing guitar. This is called self-awareness, right? Anyway, I don't understand what the system means. Okay, great. System means, okay, in the mornings, this is the first step. I wake up, I pee, and sit down. The second step is pick up my crystal and I hold it in my right hands, for 10 breaths. And you do it. Then I'm going to hold it in my left hand for 10 breaths. It's a routine. Yeah, sorry. It just you create a routine for yourself. Do this routine every day because you want to see the results over time. An hour meditating with my crystal, it's kind of unrealistic. Rather than, wow, this spent 5 minutes every morning with my crystal and these are my results. Then try and improve it. That would be my recommendation to you. With that being said, guys, it is time for me to go. I have a session coming up. So good night, good morning. Much love to wherever you guys are. Sorry, unfortunately, I can't go too deep with that question, but come back on Wednesday and we will continue to we will continue to explore all of this. I go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, guys. So if you want to catch me again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time on YouTube and TikTok. These are the only two places that I'm here. Sandra, super sorry. Love you too, my friend. Again, please come back on Wednesday or feel free to post some comments on some of my videos. A lot of the times when I'm looking for things to create for you guys in terms of posting, I'll look into the comments. So if you put one of those questions in one of my more recent videos, I might just make a video about it. So, and it's definitely something that a lot of people are interested in. So I might even make a video just out of that. But love you guys. Again, if you need any assistance or you want any information on your human design, etc., my website, ReikiMarco.com. The link is also in my bio. You can get reports on my website that'll fully just explain your entire body graph. I have sessions, one-on-one sessions. I do relationship sessions, business sessions, etc. And then I also have the greatest human design app, Neutrino Design, at 25% off. All of that is on ReikiMarco.com. Love you guys. See you Wednesday. Peace.